So we're up to section Dalet. Dine Meiser HaTmura. Nechleku Tanoim, im efshar b'Meiser Tmura echad, lahamir shtei behemos chul. So he's got one animal that's kodesh, and two that are chul. Sha'omer al behemas hegdish achas, harei elu tachas zu. Instead of zu tachas zu, he says elu tachas zu in the plural. Now, there are two possibilities here. One is to say that if this is an invalid Ma'aseh Tmura, then neither of the two animals chulin become Tmura. The other option is to say if this is invalid, then at least one of them should become Tmura, but we don't know which one. So it could be that, I don't know, maybe there's a din of Brera here. Remember the sugi of Brera? Well, later on he'll decide which of the two he wants. I don't know. We have a similar machlokes. Behemas chulin achas. He has one chulin animal, and he's got two behemos of hegdesh. Hainu sha'omer harei zu tachas elu. I don't see any radical difference between the two cases. In the first case, in the first case, he wants to transpose. You know what? Let's start with the second case first, because I think that's a little bit simple. He's got two behemos of hegdish, one behem of chul, harei zu tachas elu. So here, I guess the issue would be: is he setting up a tmura on half? One half of the animal of chulin from one animal of hegdish, and the other half of the animal of chulin. The head would be from behema A, that's hegdish, and the legs would be from a tmura from behema B of hegdish. So in that sense, his tmura will require that we combine the two animals of hegdish together to generate one all-encompassing tmura on the behemoth chulin. So the problem might be which part of the animal of chulin is now becoming hegdish through which animal, or can you create a tmura, half of your behemoth chulin through one tmura, the other through another tmura, two different animals of hegdish, and he's doing it all. See, what I would like to know is what would be in a case where he has two animals of hegdish, and bazeh harzeh, he does a tmura on two halves of an animal of chulin. So first he says, harei regel behemazu tmura behemazu, and then he says, harei rosh behemazu, or chetzi hasheni shel behemazu, tmuras behema B, the second behema. If he could do that, then you have to ask a second question: can he do it all in one shot and say behemazu tmura shel shtei behemos elu? Reizu tachas elu. Now let's go back to the first case, the ratio. What does he have? He has two behemoths of chulin with one behemoth of hegdish. So here, we're asking a whole different question. Is he empowered to create a tmura on two different animals? Maybe each animal should require its own tmura. Now I would think partially that that's not valid. He said some machlokas tanoim. But the truth is that these two machlokas are really independent. Now, the first issue that we discussed, where he's got two behemoths of hegdish, then the question is, can he somehow create a tamura on one animal from two different animals, meaning maybe each animal will generate half of a hegdish or half the tamura on the behemoth school. I might say, well, maybe in that case he can't do it because, but that doesn't prove anything about the first case where he has one behemoth kodshim and two behemoth chulin. Even if I were to say in the second case that it's valid, that's because I have a double amount of hegdish. But in the first case, I only have a half a supply of hegdish. This would be the number of animals that I want to make a tamura. I would say that these are two independent questions.
When he's doing a tamura, just a general case, he's trying to make the one that's hegdish.
In his mind?
In his mind. Is that what he's trying
Probably,
to do?
yeah.
So, I mean, so in the case where there's two of them, he's thinking, oh, I can get two of them become cooling. He's trying to take two, turn them into one.
Right.
So I don't know if he, is he trying to do half and half? Is he trying?
He has two behemoth kodshim and one behemoth chulin.
Right. So he's thinking, oh, I'm going to turn these two hectares. We want two more on.
And put he wants to take the two hegdeshes, two animals, and clone it onto one animal of chulin. I mean, that's being very stingy. I mean, he's really cheating hegdesh.
Right. Oh.
Each animal is worth I don't know what, and it's the mizbeach, the achilus mizbeach emurim, and so he wants to get away with one animal. So he has an analysis of this in the next paragraph. Let's see what he says. Wait a second, on both sides. I think we're missing a very important point here before we go on. What happens if he has the equal number of animals on both sides, but he wants to make a double tamura with one bison tamura? So he's got two animals of hegdish and two animals of chulin. Hare elu tamuras elu. I'm not so sure if he could do that, but yet all the cases that we've addressed so far is where it's off balance. I don't know. L'shitas hasover she'ein memirim shtei behemos chulin v'behemos hegdish achas. So we're assuming right this moment, according to that opinion, that you cannot effectuate a tamura from one animal of hegdish onto two animals of chulin. Second. What do we have here? We have shtei behemos chulin and one behem of hegdish. Nechleku bazeh in the mirim v'chozim u'memirim. In other words, one way of understanding it is that you're going to have to split up the behemoth hegdish in order to effectuate a double tamura on two animals of chulin. But it's not that you have divested, if I could use that word, you have desecrated, so to speak, the kedushas behemas kodshim on one animal of food, and therefore you're left with nothing for the other animal. That's not the problem. We never see through the Maisa Tmura that we're removing the actual Hegdish from the Bemis Hegdish, because that he can't do. The problem is that he's trying to superimpose Hegdish on two animals from one animal of Hegdish. But the status of the animal is Hegdish, even after Tmura, has not changed one iota. And therefore, Mimirim v'chozim Mimirim, I could use the same animal of Hegdish as many times, multiple times. The problem is that you can't take one animal of Hegdish and impose its status onto two animals of Chulin. But if you would do it for Zecher Zeh, that would be fine. Hainuli achar shehemer b'bemis Hegdish yochel lachzul lahemer ba shuv kama sheyirtze. And this is a very fundamental question. Can I use the same animal of Hegdish multiple times for Tmura? So the case of Mimirin v'chotz Mimirin is simply that question, whether you could use the same behema over and over again for a Maisa Tmura. Oh, the other possibility, according to the other view, which again, I don't understand the mechanics of it, because you have not stripped that behemoth hegdish of its status. But somehow the Torah only gave you a Maisa Tmura once per animal. I don't know why, but that's the way it comes out. Now here he has some footnotes. Let's see. You're going to have to turn the page here. Okay. So we have footnote Ayin Beis and Ayin Gimel. Am I correct? So Ayin Beis Fas Emes Estapikim Lishitas Shem Amirin Echel Meir Din Shem Oh, fine. Now he says, "Mishnah b'Gemara daf tes u'l'shitas hasover she'ein memirin v'chozu memirin." So there is such a shita in the Gemara that you can't use the same animal of hegdish more than once for a tmura. Re'ei b'Gemara chilukei dinim poseh b'ofen sha'korban harishon nase muter. I don't know what that means. Apparently, I don't know exactly the Metzius here, but there's some scenario in which you can actually alter the hegdesh of the animal through some mechanism. So the original hegdesh, will call it A, and then through some mechanism, you now inject a whole new status of kedusha to the very same animal. And the question is now, can he do another tmura on that same animal? That it's a physical animal, but now it has a kedusha shnia. It's not its original kedusha. Again, I don't know exactly what the mechanics is, but the conceptual issue here, I understand that even if I hold that you can't use the same animal of hegdesh twice for a Maisa Tmura, one time after the other, but nevertheless, if the kedusha of the animal changes, there's a transformation of the status of kedusha, then you could use the same animal twice, perhaps, for Tmura. Now, wait a second. Let's go back for a moment to the beginning of page Dal. Where you have Rab and Tov. Actually, it would be easier, I think, if we look on page Gimel at the bottom, at the end of page Gimel, and we said that Memirin Behemoth Hegdich Balas Mum. Correct? Do you remember that? Yes, no, maybe? The last paragraph on page Gimel. So there is such a thing as a Tmura on a Balas Mum. So let's say he did a Tmura on this animal, which was Hegdich, before it became a Balas Mum. Now it became a Balas Mum. And he does another Tmura on the same animal. Now it has a different status as far as Hegdich is concerned. Because initially, when he did the first Ma'aser Tmura, it had a full-fledged status of Kedushas was bad. Now, after the Mum, it has a whole different status of Kedusha, which is Kedushas Bedek Habayis, or Dom. And we said that that's enough to effectuate a Tmura on a Behemoth Chul and Tmima. In the middle here, he has a pidyon, which again, that's a little bit more complicated. Now, what was the first case? That I can't believe. He says, a carbon shenase mutter v'nisal kedushas. They would have to look up the sugya to figure that one out. Just wondering if maybe he was shoil on his hegdish. You know, he went to a chacham and he told the chacham that he made a mistake in being magdish. So he was originally magdish as a carbon olam. And then he went for a heter of the chachamim, and now he wants to be magdish as a carbon shlom. So that very same animal, that same physical body, which was originally kadosh b'kedushas ola, now has a kedusha shlom. I don't know. I'm just inventing something. All right, minyan alav. Is that what we're up to? Yeah, everything here is conceptual. I mean, there's no psychology whatsoever. You know, the other Masechtas in Shas, there's so much psychology. Like, for example, you claim that you paid me back a loan within 30 days. So the Gemara has a whole analysis. Does a person pay back a chop before the date of the duah? Yeah. Or migu, you know, if he was telling a lie, he would have said the following. You know, but here in Tmura, like none of those kind of issues come up. And I guess that's what kodshim is all about. I mean, kodshim is all about defining principles and classifying. Binyan alav, halacha pasuk haRambam shebemirim shnayim the echad b'meya, bein b'vasachas, bein b'zeh achar zeh. So right before we learned that there was a machlokes tanoim as to whether or not you could have a valid ma'aser tmura when there's an off-balance situation, right? You have two behemoths of hegdish, one behemoth of chulin, or you have two behemoths of chulin and one behemoth of hegdish. The Rambam Paskin said in all those cases, the ma'aser tmura is valid. Ayin daled, tmura perak al loch yidal. V'kama chilukei dinim b'zeh. Aleph, Hamir b'zeh achar zeh. Right, so we said that in this case of an off balance, he can do it in one of two ways. He can do it in one shot. Like let's say he was Mamir two behemoths kodshim onto one animal that was chulin, or alternatively, he could be maimer two animals of chulin onto one animal of kodshim, or he could do it b'zecher zeh. So he could take one animal of kodshim and be maimer it onto one animal of chulin, and then again with that same animal of kodshim be maimer it on a different animal of chulin. Now we're going to address the following question: how many violations does he have of the Isur Lav of Lo Yomim? And the answer is it should be equal to the numbers of Ma'aser Tmura that he has. So in the case of Bazecher Zeh, he's got two animals of Hegdesh. I'm sorry, he has one animal of Hegdesh, two animals of Chulin, and he's Meimer Bazecher Zeh, so he gets two sets of Malchus. Number two, Heimir b'vas achas. Okay, now we're going back to the case of vas achas. Shtei behemos hegdesh, behemos chulin achas. Okay, now if you ask me, I would have said that he only violates one law. Would you agree with me that that's the knee-jerk reaction? Because he did one Ma'aser Tmura, and Lamaisa, he only imposed one status of Hegdesh on one Behemoth Chulin. What's the tzad to say that he violates two lavim here? It's as if he did a Tmura twice. Yeah, but in the previous case, he did a Tmura twice onto two animals of Chulin. Now he's got only one animal of Chulin. Im over rak b'lav echad, makes a lot of sense. Look, everyone. Oh, shaloke kefi minyan behemas hahegdei shehem. So, in other words, we're not looking at the final result of his Ma'aser Tmura, which would only generate one Malchus, because it's only one animal of Chulin that was now converted through Tmura into a Behemoth Hegdesh, but rather we're looking at the Ma'aser Tmura and we're setting up two Ma'aser Tmura. Is that it? And he's got two animals of Hegdesh and one animal of Chulin. So what's the story to say that he gets two sets of Malchus? He's doing, in effect, a separate Ma'aser Tmura on each one of these animals. Do you understand that? I mean, I hear it on one level, but those the lav is generated by his attempt to remove Hegdesh. And he wants to remove the status of Hegdesh from two different animals. So vis-a-vis each animal, he's doing a Ma'aser Tmura. Again, he's not successful, but that doesn't matter. The Malchus for the Lav is for the attempt. It's like Eidim Zomim, Eidim Zomim, Asislo Kasha Zomim, even though it was only an attempt. Normally in Allah, you don't get punished for attempt. I mean, maybe we'll beat you to a pulp, but it's not a punishment. Here you get punished for your attempt. And your attempt was two Ma'aser Tmura, which you combined in one Nusa. So the question is, whether the Amira Achas is considered like two Maisa Tmura, or the other way of saying it is that even if it's two Maisa Tmura, but you get Malchus for effectuating Hegdish onto the Bemis Chulin, and here there's only one single Bemis Chulin, so that you only get one set of Malchus. Oh, he has a footnote here. I don't think we saw number Ayin Hey. But Marie Kurkus Nokat She'eno Lokel Achas Shuas Malko Nokat Shalok Kfimian Bemis Kodesh Shehemir Meleches Choshim is stopping us. No, he's just giving you names. That's all. I mean, if I had time, I would like to see the Yeshua's Malka, Binyan Behemoths. Then it's all a matter of the, this fictitious Maisa Tmura, When I say fictitious, I mean, he only changed one thing, but yet he's getting two separate Malkas because in the thoughts of his mind, he's doing a separate Maisa Tmura on each Behemoth of kodshim. Now, obviously, if let's say he has one Bemis Chulin and two Bemis Hegdesh, and he does two Maisa Tmura, one after the other, he'd only get one set of Malchus. That's clear. Because once he effectuated the first Maisa Tmura, then his second Maisa Tmura doesn't accomplish anything. Now we're up to Gimel. Emir Bivas Achas. Shtei behemos chulin, behemos hegdesh achas. Once again, we said that he uses one behemas hegdesh, but he effectuates two different tmuros on two different behemos chulin. So from the perspective of his Maisa Tmura, he only did one Maisa Tmura. But if you generate Malchus by gauging the impact, the effect, right? The final effect, he affected two hekdeshos on two different behemoths of chulin. He should get two sets of Malchus. Over kifi minyan behemoths chulin shenitfesu b'kedusha tmura. Marie Kurkus is stopping was that? No, so in the previous case, he had Shtei Behemos Hegdesh, but from the perspective of the impact, it was only one Behemoth Chulin. So therefore, the Marie Kurkus says he only gets one Malchus. But here, the Marie Kurkus is vacillating about it because, in effect, he impacted on two Behemoth Chulin through this single Maisa Tmura, and therefore, he should get Malchus for each Behemoth. Well, maybe not. It's only one Maisa Tmura. L'kutei halachos, that's the Chofetz Chaim. Nokat shaloke kifig minyan behemos chulin shenasu Tmura al yadam. So okay, he did one Maisa Tmura, but he effectuated Hegdesh on two behemos of chulin. He gets therefore two violations and two malchias. And by the way, the Shas is full of cases. He does one Maisa, he gets many multiple Malchuses because he violates many Lavim with one Maisa. I mean, here it's a little different. The Chiddush is that according to Chofetz Chaim, he's getting Malchus twice for the violation of the same exact Lav with the same Maisa Tmura. I guess we consider it as if he did a Maisa Tmura on each animal. Ubikirya Sefer Nokat Shekol HaMemir B'Vas Achas the Olam Eno Loka Elach. So he stops just at the Ma'aseh Torah. He did one Ma'aseh Torah, one formulation, one Abira, one declaration. He can only violate the law once. Let's just see where we got up to. We finished page Dalid. Are we still in the middle of a discussion here? Let's see, page A. Yeah, we're still in the middle of a discussion here on page A. Maybe we'll just try to finish up this discussion here. Hamir shtei behemos hegdesh b'shtei behemos chulu. V'yomar harei elu tachas elu. So wasn't that the case of Musfas Emes that we had in footnote? What number was it? Footnote. No, where was it? Oh, here. Ein Beis. Was MS is topic im Lishitas and Sob Shem Viren Echad Meya, what din Shein Viren Meya B'Meya. Already Elu Tachas Elu. What's this case? Oh, Arei Elu Tachas Elu. Well, it's exactly the same. I don't get it. Exactly the same as Sfas Emes. Shtei Behemoth, Shtei Behemoth, Homer Arei Elu Tachas Elu is a local called Achas V'Achas. Wait a minute. This is against the who was it? I get the names mixed up. Against the Kiryas Sefer. The Kiryas Sefer says they call it Meimer Vas Achas, the Olamena Lokel Achas. And this is the case of Meimer Vas Achas. Arei Elu Tachas Elu. Whoa. Pulling a fast one on us against the Kiryas Sefer. Make a note of this. That was Ha'ora Ayin Vav, I think. Very strange. Did you gentlemen see something very strange? He's quoting here in paragraph Dalet on page a Gemara without even vacillating about it. And he's saying that even though in one Ma'aseh Tmura, he still gets Malchus for multiple Tmuros because there's Shtei Behemos Chulu. Whereas here he says the name of the Sefer, the Olamena Lokel Achas. Why? Because he was made B'Vas Achas. And here also he's made B'Vas Achas. But wait a minute. The case of the Kiryas Sefer. What was the case of Asachas? But what was the case? It was two behemoths fluid with one animal of Hegdesh, correct? So the Kiryas Sefer is saying that even if the Rambam, let's say, paskins that the Tmura is effective on the two animals of Kulin, but since he was Meimer B'Vasachas, he only gets one set of Malchus. But if he has two animals of Hegdesh and two animals of Kulin, then even the Kiryas Sefer would say that although he did it B'Vasachas, it's like two separate Ma'aseh Tmuras. Now, what connects two Tmuras into one is the fact that he has only one animal. Let's say, for example, he has only one animal of Hegdesh. But here he's got two animals of Hegdesh. Okay. All right. Very good. So stop here.